Good morning, good evening. Just checking that you can all hear and see. Yeah. And don't forget, you all should have gallery view, so you don't have to just look at him. Not unless you look in his glasses, you might see every one of you, but you can also see each other. Mm-hmm. Wow, some very serious faces today, and some very beautiful smiling faces too. Relax. Relax, even though what we're going to look at may turn you inside out and upside down. I don't know. But if you're willing to come and see if the belief that you believe you exist is true, in how your mind portrays you as a particle in existence, rather than that contains it all. We're kind of going to look that way today. And if you remember, please don't believe a word he says. He's not teaching you. He's sitting here, examining, looking, discovering reality. But who is he? Like saying, who am I? So in the first few moments, your mind is either going to get dead bored, or you can spin your mind around toward your interior and get dead interested. But either way, you might end up dead and discover what you are does not die, and in fact contains this that you call yourself. Now, if that's not too much for you already, like me, very unusual for me, I've got turmeric tea today, right? So it's got some honey in it, I must admit, but let's just have a quick taste. Oh yeah, it's very nice. So what has sparked off where we're going to go today? Well, this has sparked this email, which comes from a lady here online. There she is. She's going to smile. Look, there she's going to smile big time. And this comes from Laura, and she asks, "Dear B, I would like to ask you if you can speak about bringing the union of masculine and feminine from heaven to earth." I know you've already said a lot about it, and I also have your book about the theme, but until now the question wasn't present in me. So I couldn't get the answer. Now I continue to visualize the cosmoform with the triangle hands, descending from heaven to earth, as if this passage were the essence of all things that I can get a glimpse of, but ultimately escapes me. Plunges me into silence. Because somewhere I want to say, well, it's great that it escapes you. You want to keep it that way. Escape meaning stay open. So we're going to look into this. And it will look as I begin that we're not looking into this, okay? You'll get this. Let me just check. Yeah, we're all here online. Have a few new people too. Hello, new people. Hopefully everybody's new. Okay, we're going to look at this. First, I'm going to make sure I turn my phone off. Make sure you're all willing to come. It's okay, I don't want a big yes from you, but I would like you to see that to come would mean to allow yourself first to relax. So let's come down to the heart. I have a question about this heart. As we feel the heart, is there a me feeling the heart? Or is the heart just a glowing ember of that is core or source? So as you feel your heart, and we could say, well, let's feel the whole body, but let's begin feeling with the heart. And I would suggest maybe we have our eyes closed, but that's totally up to you. Feeling the heart. Go so gently, but so utterly. There is no cause to think. And what drops away is this apparent waking state of the appearance of things we might call life. But as we drop, we might pass through, as it were, the dreaming state. So thoughts begin to drop, images are dropping, sensations are dropping. And it is literally deep dreamless sleep. But deep dreamless sleep is not sleep. It is aware of being aware. It is literally luminous. The luminosity is that I, this listener, including the speaker, is. You can experience it's not a thing. It's not an object. It's not a thought. It's not an event. And it has never gone anywhere. Let's just say it is the silent I. Awareness, aware, knowingly aware of its own awareness, luminous. It's not that you come into this. Discover it's that already you are. As awareness, you know you're aware, knowingly aware. As it were, give it your full attention. Notice that you know that there is only this awareness. Don't look for light, but it is luminous. That's the deep. You may even be aware, even the breath comes out and returns to this. Not that it needs anything. And notice this is not a state. It is. And we can move, as it were, from here, as it were. We're only pointing here. See that the thoughts have no idea at all of you being that. Not one iota of idea that you are that. Thoughts have literally nothing to do with what you are. They do not exist here. Let's take a breath. Maybe several deep breaths, connect deeply with your belly. And I'd like you to open your eyes. And can you see that, let's just call it ground or source of the luminous that one already is, has not gone anywhere. It's nobody's ground, but it is the ground from which seemingly creation or existence comes forth from. So you open your eyes. And let's just say in a flash, you exist. Or, I would say more clearly, I exist. But that I, as yet, has not been, as it were, invaded by separate sense perception. If it has, you already are, knowing your identification as awareness. Of time-space experience. But in a flash, dreamlike thoughts and perceptions and sensations, as it were, veiled you to you. And it seems like you exist as a someone in existence, as others, as events, as many things out of your control. But let's change the word control to power. But all that you see, observe, is a movement of your original power. And all creation is a phenomenon of that power. Let's have a look if you can, as it were, see it. You can still see the ground, the luminous ground. Like this is deep, dreamless sleep. But you've become aware of the dream and of the dream existing in perception, where it seems that you've been individuated, but you are still the whole, the ground of it all, the luminous ground of it all. So let's just have a look. You can close your eyes or not, totally up to you. Deep dreamless sleep is simply absence of objects. And you can see if you look now, that means simply awareness of absence. Of what you believed you were existing. At this ground you are whole, not a small self. One could say the self. But the moment, whatever you're discovering you are, attaches to a thought or an image, you come, as it were, seemingly from the deep and start to move in dream, in the dreamer, and then the dream that you exist. So we open our eyes. Strangely enough, I'm not concerned with you getting this. Not at all. I'm just here constantly pointing. And in my higgledy-piggledy way, I'll come to this masculine, feminine idea that's been asked here. It's a strange thing because, hello, Karine. Yes, I'm just seeing behind you, Karine, that beautiful, let's just call it mandala. And why I'm pointing to that is quite simple. And it's probably the only time that I'll mention anything about realization, just to use realization as a pointer in what is already here. Okay, so I'm not speaking about his realization. He didn't have one. The self realized itself. That's what's going on here. It's not a somebody. So when I look at Karine, it takes me back into the 80s, as it were, where myself, the self, literally called me back into itself. I was with a group of people sitting meditating. And this very, I'm going to call it nowhere but now here voice, instant recognition, called me to complete turn and breathe in. And it was in a moment that B prior disappeared into what he already is. That was the dream, that he was a someone in a universe. In the deep luminous black, light came forth. Now, I'm endeavoring to describe or speak of that can't actually be spoken of, but I'm going to endeavor to do that. And so then that light fills the perception. And that light filled the perception. And through that light, whoever this was perceived realms of light. But the light itself was not a realm. It was totally all, seamless, formless, indivisible. But then there was another strange thing. Creation just happened. And rather like, if I may use Green sitting there, I opened my eyes and there was nothing that existed as separate. There was no one here, neither in appearance nor in experience. It was totally one whole. And then this strange but wonderful thingless thing took place. The whole of the crown opened, utterly opened. But it, for whoever this was, it didn't just stay, as it were, around the head. It enveloped the whole body. And just like, I hope you're okay with this, Corinne, but just like around Corinne there were endless dimensions in the dimensionless self experience. Endless dimensions in the dimensionless self seamless experience of now. So I jotted a couple of things here because I wanted to keep on to this, because it's something that it needs right energy and right words. So right now, where we all are, simultaneously, there are multi-dimensional states and universes, even of a human being, apparently a human being. There are multiple simultaneous levels here and now. And I would like to ask you a question. Yes, you, meaning us. Why do you pick one static level only? Is it because of comfort? Is it because you feel safer in the known? Was that through somebody teaching you to do that? Did you not know that? Please forgive me. As a child, that display you were, I don't know if you've noticed it in kids. Most people have no idea the joy they feel around a child is because they're multi-dimensional states of the singularity of love one already is in the field of a child. And there's no one on this planet, or indeed on this call, that your endeavor in life, whether you know it or not, is to realize this. So now we're going to come down to this man-woman thing. So I'll need a drink for this. The turmeric is curdled in the lemon and the It's very zingy. So if you can just stay with me through what I've just spoke of. Please, I don't know whether you can see this, but in what I've just said, the lines of cause and effect and somebody causing effect are absolutely blurred in such a realization. Because there is no one here causing an effect. Just multi-timeless dimensions, discovering each other, whether it's a collision, whether it's a crash, whether it's a bang, whether it's a slip, whatever it is, you are a singularity that moves interdimensionally in this moment. At least that's the potentiality. Stay with a tiny blip that someone has told you is a human. You will become responsible, which means lose your innocence and begin to believe that you are an individual separate from the totality. And instead of those lines blur where everything actually is interconnected, and literally there is no one here but that dance, that manifestation only here and now, and then it's gone, and a new arises. The difficulty between man, masculine principle, woman, feminine principle, there are actually two in the one. So you both have that in here, yin and yang. You have no idea to explore what each other are as you come together, because you've been taught that you are an active part of something as an individual. But you are the totality, interconnected, discovering itself, to try to find comfort related to an idea that you're a particular someone with likes and dislikes, keeps you in one little tiny slit. And the deeper profundity of why you come together with another cannot emerge. Why? Because it's too uncomfortable, too dangerous, and not the norm. You'll never be able to explore not only the universe of where you are right here and now, you won't be able to explore it in the deep at large, and literally discover, here we go again, Corinne, that's fanning around your higher intelligence, the possibilities to be able to be so open and so original, so clear, so still, so no thing, so everything, that you can meet another and explore how all this works without cause or effect being put on each other or on others. That is the highest union, which I would suggest is quite rare. on this planet, or two people to come together and explore the moment free of the need of comfort. That would mean you'd have to know yourself. It would mean you have to know mind. It would mean you'd have to know your brain. It would have to mean you have to discover what biology is. Is there such a thing as biology? Or is biology cosmology? And you're daring to enter a profounder love, a stateless love that cannot be owned, but can be entered as you drop away the image of self and other. One of the main difficulties is the seductiveness of comfort, mental, emotional, psychological, social. Comfort is seductive. And if we look into, figuratively speaking, our world, we will see that we're taught comfort. It's like a sugar addiction. Everything must be falsely sweet, unless we're called to the depth of sweetness in ourselves. How can we share that or be with that in another? Because here, as we began this exploration, in this question that's been put forth here about the masculine, feminine, man and woman, you come upon, if you're ready for this, so many false ideas of what should happen, what shouldn't happen, what should be expected, what shouldn't be good, what shouldn't be bad. You come upon so many false ideas. So literally one would have to abandon the idea that the world portrays to you, which means you would have to surrender the world in your own body, mind identification. Your journeyless journey would be to explore your innermost, where she actually is, that appears in the apparent waking state to be a three-dimensional mental, emotional form. But really, what we are is the vibrational form here and now of love. So then such a calling, Laura, because you asked the question, you may be first taken to the core of your heart and dissolve all the ideas you have about what should happen and what shouldn't happen. You'd be learning to be completely and absolutely open no matter what. Because somewhere you would discover the seductiveness of comfort has put you asleep to your true potentiality as a being and being feminine. And that he actually is in the very core of you as your own yin-yang self. Most people would not understand what I've just said. You'd have to go on the journey and you'd have to let go of the need of comfort to take the journey. You'd have to, as it were, through love, master yourself, which really means know yourself. Not judge it, know it. Begin to truly see the mind at work, see the emotion at work, be willing to see it, not to judge it, but certainly not to jump into it. And there will be times when you can't do anything else. It seems to be you. Mentally, it will seem to be you. Emotionally, it will seem to be you. This is how impressive this cosmology of self-expression is. How real it seems. We all actually believe we're this until we say three-dimensional form. We actually fully believe we're a body and mind. We can't see that this wonderful body, this wonderful appearance of form, is a vibration in our innermost. That at the core of you and I having this conversation, I know you've not conversed yet, but I'm calling it a conversation. At the core of having this conversation, literally, this is deep dreamer's sleep, where nothing has ever happened, where the luminosity of self is. And the thought vibration, identification, form of veils on top of that. You, I, we have not gone anywhere. But until we get clear how all this works, we can't explore the luminosity of our true nature, because we get entangled in the perception of things through space-time. But we've not even realized that there are many finer levels of space-time other than TikTok, other than past or future. The moment you came forth without going anywhere, you created multi-dimensional realities or faces of you. This is why it can be said that others are the faces of self. We're the same one. But that's too weak and too feeble, whilst we're unwilling, because of the need of comfort, to explore the meaning and the actuality of what that actually means. It will mean that you will go places inside yourself, mental, emotional, psychological, physical, that you have not been taught to fully engage as a beingness. Also as a non-being, which we can also explore. So until you explore what actually is your experience, and is there really any causes or effects caused by someone? Is there really someone here? Then the idea of masculine and feminine is filled with images, ideas, mental, emotional, of what should or shouldn't happen. In a universe that is a kaleidoscope of multi-dimensional movement of the one, which is the one who is listening to these words now. You only, as it were, this is delicate, and I'm endeavoring to go there so that we can hear. I also am listening. It's a strange thing. That in truth, you do not need to disentangle yourself, but just to deeply, truly observe inside what appears to be yourself, not outside. There is no such thing. That is an appearance in an instant of the interior of what we seem to be as human beings, but we're being, and we never actually become human. That's a dance throughout the universe. There is a dance of those atoms dancing as particular beings, but what moves them is one. And one can say, I am that at core. So certainly, you disentangle yourself from yourself in love's triangle. You mentioned the triangle as if it were heaven and earth. But the triangle is you. It's knowing that you are conscious being, dreaming, existing. But you are that one. And like now, if we can look at this, if one, we, I, us, dropped all association, meaning identification with thought, now, that would remove the cause and effect of a someone in you. Not necessarily outside. That would only happen with the entirety of what appears to be humanity realizing the self as itself. That's what we would call a golden age. But as you intelligently, fully disentangle from thought as if you're the thinker, you will see you won't find a thinker. You may find thoughts, but you won't find a thinker. Similarly, did you ever find the dreamer in the dream? But didn't the thinker, existence, the dreamer, dream state, drop away to reveal pure awareness, not a thing, not an object. We just call it deep dreamless sleep, but it is not a sleep. It's reality, luminous itself. And as we may be in a relationship, begin to be willing to explore, am I a thinker? Am I a dreamer? Do I act upon those dreams and thoughts? Or does everything purely happen as I, as it were, remain knowing deeply what I am, even though it's not an object, and actually beyond subjectivity. And truthfully, do you exist? Or could you say, conversely, all existence comes out of that I am? Notice here, you never see your face or your back. You only see half of creation, as it were. But let's take a little switch in gears for a moment. An apparent other gives you the opportunity to see a total body in full luminosity when one comes from the profoundly real as one's self. But right there is a natural disentanglement which one can see in relationships, but we don't see it like this unless we love Source as ourselves. There's a natural disentanglement that begins to undo, and we begin to unlock our body-mind cells of greater possibility. But what comes out of those levels is the thinker and the dreamer that thinks it's a someone and an other. But only luminous love that one already is, beyond the idea that you must do love, give love in the way we've been taught, rather than recognize I am that, begins to dissolve the entanglement of the body mind of you to limitation. And you have open, time-free moments of cascading into the wonder and brilliance of what the other as yourself is. In truth, you're learning to love yourself as the self. And yet, the expression of that is appearing as the entire cosmos, as all beings throughout the cosmos, multi-dimensional, one in nature, with no cause or effect, including all the beings that you do not perceive, for they are in, let's call it, finer dimensions of light which one must attain to in untangling yourself from limitation. And you begin through this kind of loving, the core of what the other is in you, therefore opening you to them as one love, one self. You unveil the universe, unveil the light, the consciousness, the awareness, and you literally begin to discover that you are not a cause or an effect, but the absolute. And yet the absolute radiates as the display of the innermost worlds, manifesting before your eyes as love's calling to itself. Have one idea how this should work, and one falls back to the prison of a limited time, space, three-dimensional box. Loving someone is not an easy thing, because it isn't a thing. Loving someone takes place through loving yourself. Such a movement opens what could be said to be your interior, and you see the light of consciousness, maybe, as the masculine. You see the energy of creation as the feminine. You see it all springs out of the same one. So such a love leads to self-realization. But you need to see that seeking comfort in this will have you become worldly in your so-called loving. You'll suffer because you're not realizing what you are, what the apparent other is. Instead of exploring this singularity of light in its multi-dimensional display, you'll stay with a single slit called a me. You won't learn transcendence and inclusion in your loving. The idea is to completely clear your mind so it becomes a mirror of what you deeply are. Clear the womb of this particular realm of tight time-space and the seeming cause and effect. You are not a cause, you are not an effect. You are the absolute, non-being, being. Being comes also with so much beliefs in cause and effect. Deep being does not. So as you go deeper, be clear with yourself. This is about loving yourself deeply, profoundly, through the mirror of the one that's drawn in the calling in the same manner and way. The core, this is the love of that we sometimes call God or the self. Such opening is possible, where you don't no longer have to use a thought to love another as yourself. You just go. You just embrace. You just totally open. You just fall in, and you couldn't care whether it's a precipice or not. You just fall in because you're not a someone clinging to a rock face. It's not about whether the other one loves you or not. It's about whether you love you or not. And that gives you the ability to love another as yourself. That's how the cosmos works. And right now, just like right now, feel and know the radiance you already are. But don't be fooled by that display of like a feather, like a peacock, as it were, around you. Don't let even that make you turn into being someone that is special. You can have a whole full bodily crown chakra opening, like 1,000 million petals. But that's still phenomenon. Phenomenon only moves in the shapes of your beliefs of you throughout the cosmos. You are intrinsic in it all. This is a universe. Movement billions of light years is here in your cells. And your movement is billions of light years into other levels of the universe. Universe. It's not a thought. It's just the absolute truth. So right here then, when sensations cease, there's just pure perception of what is. No thoughts, no dreams, just pure perception. And when perception ends, you're in another place, as it were. Still a veil, you're in dream. But there's still a dreamer that you don't see the face. And then dreams drop. It's beyond the mind, because what you are is beyond mind. And your mind can never see that is empty and yet full, because it can only know objects of which it becomes the subject, convincing you that you're subjected to objects, but you are not. What an incredible entanglement the universe is, and yet she sings and dances and displays the light of self. It's like that song, you know, The Dance of Atoms. You know that one? So beautiful. So put it this way, if you can see this, you take a thought, those atoms must bend and manifest your thought and how you think of you. and what exists. You don't take a thought. An existence only displays the invisible made visible. Love itself, true nature. So when two get together, excuse me for a moment. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Are you called to realize the depths of literally letting go of your mind? And what will come out will be a display of what you thought all this was about. Can you let that empty into the awareness of what truly is fully without tampering with it? That's ultimate union. And we can see, like, have our eyes closed. If you did not take a thought, which means identify with one, you will be timeless, spaceless, infinite. Strange thing. Maybe one has to drop out of the infinite to know what infinity is. That's like saying to know who I am. So in this apparent human level, there's so much sleeping possibility in our relationships because we've been taught comfort, thoughts, feelings, ways. We've not been shown what we are. Now, right now, where we are, there are so many doors to greater love and possibility, but you must knock them and walk through. Maybe you could knock 2 or 3, 4 or 5, 8 or more. But remember, walk through those doors, you'll be transforming energies, not of you, but of the collective sleep. Then your apparent vehicle of perception, the body mind, begins to awaken and rewire only according to how far you will reach into you and that exists in you. Nothing's as it seems. And let's just relax deeper. Only have to hear the words. It's quite natural to fall, as it were, deeper. Beyond want or need or perception. That is true. You is luminous. Observe with your heart, and your mind will transform, and your body will vibrate differently. And you will end suffering in you and perhaps in the universe. Or maybe another level of you is dreaming you to be free of suffering. Is there anything in your life that is not more than the five senses? I know there is. Do you? The display of the five senses is limited only to how you are realizing what you are as the luminous. So then, during our apparent day, just to stop for one moment and perceive so deeply the here and now that perception is replaced by realization. Because realization is the ground even of your daily life. You're never not here. You'll be releasing this particular position you have in your mind around everything. As you relax, we're just going to move you throughout the cosmos, and you'll be meeting some other universes to have a little sharing with. So Karen is just about to put you into groups of people. See what you discovered. Go beyond